So I finally fixed the mystery. That's what happens. It's when I sit back. It's when I sit back and get comfortable that suddenly I'm out of shot. I'm like all the way down there. But it looks like I'm framed. Looks like I'm framed properly now. So yeah, hopefully that's going to do the thing. Welcome to another week. 2 weeks left on the project. 2 weeks. It's been, good lord, it's been a massive journey. And 2 weeks left to go. What am I doing this week? Well, last week was all about cost-effective development, and that turned out to be useful to tick those boxes, but in terms of end results of investigation, like especially with Amazon still providing a $100 offset per month for Alexa costs, I mean, it was still good to go through and understand what's going on there, but yeah, there's no you have to get to the kind of problem you want to have before you have to start worrying about Alexa costs, which is a good answer. It's a good answer to have. There's a lot of rabbit holes there around dashboarding and numbers and optimization that I think my brain can get suckered into pretty easily. So it's nice to know that it's not so much of an issue. It's not something to really be concerned about for now. But there are answers that are there. The post is up now in terms of exploration, so what I looked through over the week. So yeah, good answers. This week is all about monetization. So this week is looking at what are the models that can be learned from the broader gaming industry when it comes to monetization. What are the success stories inside the Alexa space already? What is the scope for monetization? It's great to see that in-app purchases have now been opened up for the Australian market. That is good news. And also looking at what are the constraints around what can and can't be monetized inside an Alexa experience. What are the limitations? For example, you can't, last time I looked at this, you couldn't monetize a skill by making it a smaller part or a less functional part of a broader whole. Now I need to sit down and look at the wording around that because I suspect I'm remembering that not quite correctly, because you should be able to provide like a chapter-based experience. Say here is our free sample, here is the opening side of things, like a demo, and then this is how much it costs to unlock the broader experience. That should be possible. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. One thing I haven't made time for, and I think I'm going to look at down the track, is just the user experience concerns around things like, for example, is your Discord account connected? Have you paid for a particular purchase skill? And the ways that you can usefully manage those things, help systems. It's definitely something, as I get towards the end of the project, I can see that is, it's not a sexy part of everything, but it's definitely a necessary part of what you need to do. Having a context-based help system. I talked earlier on in the project about having context-based conversations. What is the current topic of what we're dealing with? So then your inexperienced responses can be more context-based, and then your help can be more context-based as well. Yeah, it's something that I didn't have time for, which surprisingly, I'm not going to have time for everything, but it's something I'm looking forward to digging into. It's why the first few skills that I'm focusing on coming out of this are going to be very narrow in terms of what they're doing, while I'm still planning out some very fun, very big skills as well. So yeah, circling back around, shortest number of words possible. This week is all about monetization. What are successful models, particularly successful models that keep users excited, engaged, and on board for the longevity of an experience? Also looking at, and I'll also be looking at what is the likely cost model for inputting that stuff. And by that, what I mean is, while my voice is apparently fading off into the distance, what I mean is, say for example, one of the things I was talking about last week as just an example is having your own corporation name being an audio asset in the game. Great. Well, if I develop, say for example, a space trading game or a space mining game where you go and mine space asteroids and you go back to port, and then you hear in the background, you hear these advertisements for different corporations. If I deal with multiple voice actors, what are the likely fees going to be from my perspective for getting them involved in putting together the audio assets to reference that organization name? Is it cost effective? Certainly cost effective if I do it just by myself. So if I have a range of characters that I'm playing for a skill, but then I still need to think about, well, what's the time? What's the time investment to do that versus the actual monetary reward? I don't want to get into a situation where because I can record stuff, I'm going off and I'm spending half an hour processing audio assets for $1 or $2. That just doesn't make sense. But content that can be provided to a large number of people, that does make sense. So providing additional like chapters of content or sectors of a world or whatever that is. So that's this week. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm going to learn a lot this week, and I think it's going to be a real eye-opener. The other thing that I'm doing just before we close out, because we're almost, not quite, we're at 7 minutes, so it's not quite a concise one today. But the other thing I'll be doing is closing out Verbalize as well. I'm going to be starting off today's real work with some Verbalize homework. So I'm moving back into that because I'm really excited to close that out, because it's a linchpin as much as Art of Game Design is about how to make this stuff engaging. Writing great dialogue, writing great characters is a centerpiece for how to make all of this stuff interesting. So that's me. I hope that you are well. I hope that you're safe, and I hope that with everything that is going on in the world out there, I hope that you're managing. I hope that you've got some solid ground underneath your feet, and you've got people that care about you. So have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. See you then.